Welcome back to the Conservatine. I'm your host, Chase Levitt, and I would like to welcome a Republican candidate for governor in the state of Washington, Semi Bird. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Chase, thanks for having me on. It's great to be with you today.
Of course, the first thing I just want to ask you or ask for you to do is take 60 seconds to tell the listeners about yourself, who you are, and just kind of your journey.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll start with the journey, and I find that I repeat myself quite a bit because folks ask this, and I'm glad they are, and I'm glad you are. So I started my life's journey in the inner city ghetto of East Oakland, California, 1961, pre-civil rights, born to a single mother, right? A single woman with seven kids. And my mother raised me to be accountable. She raised me to be responsible. She raised me to praise God and to be engaged and to do my very best always. And she had a tremendous amount of faith and confidence in me. And she helped to build my self-esteem. So I want to give my mom her due props because if you want to understand who I am and how I am, it goes right back to my mother and how she raised me. Age 6, she got us out of the ghetto, age 6 or 7, to North Seattle, where we were able to live in North Seattle. We lived in poverty for much of my younger life, but my mother never gave up. I mean, she went from welfare, from food stamps, to getting a certification, to getting a job. And she was just a great role model. She did what she had to do to take care of her children, but she knew there was more. And she was the example for me of pursuing your American dream. And my mother ended up retiring from the state of Washington with the Department of Social and Health Services, helping others get aid. K through 12 in school, I struggled, D's and F's. I dropped out my junior year after finishing my junior year, and I went into the Marine Corps, served in the Marine Corps. They knocked me around, made me the man I could possibly be. I matured in the Marine Corps, and I went in a boy and I left a man. Went to college, got my bachelor's degree, summa cum laude 4.0. Got my master's degree from Villanova University, and I'm finishing up my PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. I went back in the military in 2001. I served as a Special Forces Green Beret, post 9/11, obviously, in combat. What else? I left active duty, went reserve status, and was fortunate to get a job with the United States Department of Energy. And I worked my way up the chain of command there and retired as a federal director of training and leadership development. I've taught at WSU as a associate director of professional development and community education. And there's a lot more because I'm so old.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for your service in the Marines. I know everyone else here in this country are very grateful for your service. So thank you for that.
Honored
And
to serve.
um, my next question I have for you is more about your campaign for governor of Washington. I want to ask you, how will you specifically work to provide change for the people of Washington State, and how will you use that message and kind of fight to change for our whole country in general?
I appreciate that, and you're giving me a lot of latitude, and I love it. So when we talk about change, there's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of politicians they use talking points, and a talking point is good to set up the facts, to set up specifically what are you going to do. So the majority of our campaign, I would say the foundation of our campaign is unity. You know, I am a constitutional Christian conservative, and my friend Jason Rand said, Simi, right there, those three words are going to kill you in Seattle on the west side because it's very liberal there. And I
Yeah,
said, nothing wrong with loving God. There's nothing wrong
right.
with believing in our Constitution, right? The law of our land and our conservative values of what America truly stands for. It stands for our nation as the diverse nation it is. We're the best nation on this planet, and it's because of our diversity, a nation of immigrants. And again, I can go on and on about that, but we have forgotten who we are. And so to unite around issues that all sides, all ideologies can get behind and go, yeah, we want safe streets for our children to be able to play on. We want better education, better quality education in schools. We want economic growth and opportunity for all Washingtonians, right? And so to do so, there are so many different things that we should be doing that we're not doing. And again, I can get specific, but I would just say with our public safety, you know, our crime rate continues to grow to a point whereas Even in Harborview Medical Center, they were just on the news this morning because the murder rate and the shooting rate has gone up so high in the Seattle area that their emergency room physicians can't keep up. If we talk about education in Washington State, if you average out all the education statistics, when it comes to English and language arts, our percentage of students that met grade level standards was 50.7%, right? In math, only 37.7% of all students were able to meet grade level standards. In science, it was 42.7 who made grade level standards. So looking at our education system and holding school districts accountable to those results is something we should be doing. And one of the things I would institute or push to institute, again, we have our legislature and we must have the voice of the people. We need school choice. School choice levels the playing field. It ensures that a family like mine, as I was growing up, that single mom with all those children could afford to put her children in a school with quality education because the state had that voucher to give. And I can go on and on. There's so much we can do with education. And in terms of the economy, right? Crime rate up, academics down, economy, inflation up. We're actually in a pseudo recession. Some financiers will tell you this. So why are we not looking at tax relief for our citizens of the state? We have record high revenues, but what do we do with that money? We continue to spend, to spend, to spend. And now I believe our governor is asking for that next budget review, $70 billion. This is getting out of control. And we're going to have another gas tax imposed on us before the end of this month. So, right, economy's in the toilet, but we just tax our citizens who are struggling to put food on the table. And lastly, Chase, and I'll give it back to you, I'm not one to place blame. I would never disrespect our governor or anyone else who has chosen to serve their community or their state. But what I can do is compare and contrast those policies to my policies. And I would have never shut down schools. I would have never shut down businesses. We had a high record suicide rates, mental health issues amongst our youth. And I can go on and on. So there's a lot that I plan on doing, my friend.
That's awesome. Thank you for that answer. And I think we can already tell now that if you get chosen by Washington, you'll serve as a great governor, just based off that answer there. But
Thank you.
My third thing I want to ask you about. So right before we started filming, we were talking about you wanted to get more youth involved in this campaign, not just in Washington State, but across the country. But so I want to ask you, you have brought on one of the youngest campaign advisors in the country in Kellyanna Brooking, which is an amazing thing for this upcoming generation that I am a part of. Along with that, how do you plan to get the youth more involved in your campaign and just simply politics and this movement to, save our country, save our states, just in general?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we are very, very proud of Kellyanna Brooking. She, like yourself, you guys are the gold standard in terms of youth engagement. And we can talk about youth being our future, which again, it just happens to be the truth and the facts and the science, right? And so when we talk about those abysmal academic scores within our state, we are still graduating students at an 83% rate. So what we're doing is we are providing poor quality education, but we're graduating these young folks out and into the world, right? And it's not setting them up for success. So engaging youth, not just academically, but politically, because their voices matter. They are millennials. The other day, they were zillennials, right? And so they were that youngest generation. Now we're zillennials are the youngest generation. What I'm saying is time is going to go by before you know it, and you will be running the show. And the fact that we do not teach civics in our school system the way we should be, it's not to be politically divided or polarizing. What it's to do is to give young people an understanding of our political framework, how our system of government works. Most young people don't even know that we are a constitutional republic, right? We are uniquely a country that's based on the will of the people. That's where the power resides in the people. And so that youth group, they are an unheard and untapped voice. And I'm not going to make that mistake because we're going to win one way or another. Whether we win the election for governor, we still win. Why? Because number one, we're bringing a message of unity. Number two, we're engaging certain groups that have not been properly engaged. Our youth, our minority groups, our Hispanics, our Blacks, our Asian, I can go on and on. because our campaign is that campaign of unity where we value all ages, all religions, regardless of what your preference is. You are loved and welcome in our campaign. We want to give Washingtonians an easy choice, not to say I'm going to choose Democrat or I'm going to choose Republican. And yes, I am a proud Republican. I'm a Lincoln Republican. And the other day, someone says, Simi, how can you be a black man and be a Republican? And I said, really, I said, respectfully, how can you be a black man and not be a Republican? And what I meant by that is, again, you be what you want to be, and I'm going to love you for it. But my point is that the Republican Party, right, formed in 1854 specifically and uniquely to abolish that horrific, sinful institution of slavery. That's
Right.
why, right? That is our roots as Republicans. We were the ones who put folks of color into positions of government post slavery during that Reconstruction period. We were the ones who fought back against Jim Crow and the KKK. And we were the ones who supported that great American Martin Luther King to push forward to civil rights. This is our heritage. And so I'm proud to be a Republican. But that being said, it does not mean I cannot listen to or work with or love or respect folks on the other side. Because again, we're not enemies, we're not at war, we're citizens with different beliefs. We call that unalienable rights in this country. And so I went further past your question, but you got me excited just thinking about it, motivating and engaging our youth. And lastly, on that, Chase, you guys have the energy, you have the intelligence, you have the passion. In our youth, if you think of the ideologies among different generations, our young people are more passionately engaged in the willingness and desire to do what's right for all citizens. That is a scientific fact. So naturally, I want you guys involved.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Because, there's a lot of races, people running for office that simply just ignore the vote, the young vote, which is really probably one of the most important groups that you want to win over now. Right. And
I agree.
so I just want to thank you for that. Because we're up next. I say it a bunch to like my followers across the things. We're up next. We're next up to lead this country, so we may as well get involved now. My fourth thing I want to ask you about. So this kind of goes back to the second question when I kind of talked about what you were going to do to help Washington State and help our country in general. But a lot of people in our country are struggling, whether it be from inflation, from crime, to woke indoctrination in our schools, and so much more. What is your message to just simply the people of Washington, the people of the United States of America, and what do you want to say to them?
No, thank you. And again, it goes back to, I'm going to repeat and repeat, unity, unity, unity. We need to put human decency and civility above politics. We've gotten to a point where we say, again, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, or I'm an independent because I can't stand either of you knuckleheads, right? We have to stop and say, you be you. What's unique about our campaign is I am that conscious Christian conservative, and I'm proud of who I am, right? But again, you can be in that opposite side. One of my dearest friends, his name is Darius. I'm not going to give his last name, but he is a wonderful man. Darius said something like this: we work together with the federal government. Darius, again, I'm just going to say it because to me, it matters based on what he represents. Darius is a black man. He's a veteran. He's a retired federal employee. He's a brilliant man. He's a brilliant American. And I adore this guy. Darius sends me a message and he says, look, he goes, I know you. I know your heart. I know what you can do because I've seen you work. I've seen you in action. He says, I am a lifelong Democrat and I do not intend to change. I will always be a Democrat. But he says, Simi, you will be what Washington State needs because you will bring us together and you will focus on the issues. You will bring real solutions and you will make change happen. And so my point is, why can we not unite? Again, if you're a Democrat, be a Democrat. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're a Republican, be a Republican. If you're this and you're that, you be you, right? And let's come together and let's focus on public safety. Let's focus on the economy. Let's focus on education. Let's focus on energy independence. And I can go down the list. Let's work together. Statistics show that people agree on probably 93 to 97% of the major issues, and they disagree on about this much. But what we are doing is we are putting all the focus and energy and resources on what we disagree on. And that does no good. So we will be one of the rare campaigns in the nation that says, let's unite for the common good. And no matter who you are, how you represent, how you associate, you will be welcomed, you will be loved, and we will work together to make our state and to make our nation a better place. Let Washington State be the epicenter of positive change where we come back together. And if we disagree, we can still respect each other and disagree with one another. And then let's focus on what we can agree on. That's
Right.
what we're going to.
Right. Thank you for that message. It's so relieving to see someone running for office that doesn't want to just simply just polarize everybody, because we have our differences and issues. And there are times where we may, disagree a lot, and sometimes we get mad at each other, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. I always
That's
like
it.
to look back at the example of right after 9/11. Nobody cared about your political party, your race, your gender, whatever. It's that you were an American. And so I
That's
think
it.
that's something we do need to come back to. So thank you for that message.
Chase, what's that? You made a good point with 9/11 as an example. And that again, clearly, I previous Marine Corps and then went into the Army and then went into Army Special Forces and deployed in service of my nation. One of the things we saw as soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine, and Coast Guardsmen and women, we saw our nation come together. Just like you said, we cannot afford to wait to those devastating events that happen to unite, right? This is an opportunity that I, as one person, no better than you, no better than anyone, just a fellow citizen. And again, you can kind of tell we're brothers, right? And we're family. And so this is just another brother, another sister coming out there to say, let me serve my nation. Let me serve my community. Let me serve my state. And I will still love you. I will still respect you. That's something I can do. That is something I can control. How I conduct myself and how I treat others with kindness and respect. And to make that difference to say, you're a Democrat? Okay, bring it on, brother. Let's talk. Right? Bring it on, sister. Let's talk. Help me to understand what I need to know. And let me share with you what I want to share with you. And once we start doing business with an open mind and open heart and a positive attitude, again, this is where stuff starts to get done.
Right. Exactly. I have one more question for you, and it's a really
Take your
simple,
time.
a really simple question. And I mean, you could go a lot of ways with this, but I just want to ask you, what is your inspiration? What is your inspiration to make change? What is your inspiration to be who you are in the position that you are today?
So here's what I'll say, and there's so many. No, actually, this is the first time someone asked me what is my inspiration. People always say, "Why are you writing it?" And it seems like every time I get asked that, I think of something else because it's more than one thing.
Right.
Inspiration goes back to how I was raised. It's one of those things. I think the older you get in life, the more you look back to right. And in my case, I love life. I have a beautiful family. I'm happy. I've achieved the American dream. And I'm a spiritual person, as I said. And so, what I would say to that is this: I can say God is my inspiration. And what I mean by that is, there's a Purple Heart right over there, and I think there's Bronze Star Valor over there. And those are the medals, one for being wounded in action, one for bravery in action. And I'm not saying that for bravery or any accolades. No, it is what it is. My point being is I could have died multiple times in combat. I didn't. And Simi Berg, believes that it's by the grace of God that I survived to come home to my family. It's by the grace of God that I overcame the adversities that life threw at me. Again, pre-civil rights, high school dropout, terrible in school. And I can go on with a lot of times that I fell down and got back up. I got busted in the Marine Corps for fighting, right? And I thought I was righteous because it was a racial incident. But hey, there was no excuse for fighting in the Marine Corps, according to the Marine Corps, right? But I learned from that. And so I believe that God has guided me through my entire life and positioned me as I am. And so my inspiration is an inspiration to serve others. One thing that people don't know about me, Chase, is that, and some people know because I'm starting to share, as a school board director in Richland, Washington, I was asked to run for Congress or legislature, higher office. And I said, no, I have a practice. I need to spend more time with my family. And I said, no. But then they said, would you serve our children in the school district? And I knew that is the center of gravity of our future, is our children. And so I ran for school board. And I could tell you about how that went. if you had time. But what I will say is back to your question, inspiration. I believe that I'm uniquely positioned right now at this time in my life to once again serve others. And there's no reward for me except the reward of bringing value for my brothers and sisters in Washington state and to set an example for the region and for the rest of the nation. My inspiration is the opportunity to serve and to bring others together, to bring back that human decency and that civility, because I have nothing that I need in life. I want for nothing. I've got my wife, I've got my daughters. There's nothing else I need except to give of myself to others because God has given me so much. So there's my inspiration. It's coming from my heart, brother.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you once more. Thank you for, serving this country. Thank you for running to serve the people of your state and trying to make change and bring unity into such a divided time in our country. And thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with me.
Chase, always and anytime. And again, I want to thank you for what you're doing. You're getting involved and you're getting engaged. And you are also, you and Kellyanna and others, you guys are role models. Don't sell yourself short because of your age. Because again, just real quick, there are young people as young as 13 and 15 going back into the birth of our nation who fought, bled, and some died for our country, right? And so we forgot that. Our youth play a huge role. They always have throughout the history of this nation. And now it's going to be up to our youth to once again step forward, bring your energy, bring your passion, bring your excitement to unite our nation, to let us adults know who don't get it, we are better when we work together. United we stand, together we can. And I'm glad I'm here with you today.
Of course. Thank you so much. And I will continue to do what I can to make this country a better place, along with you and many others. And this was awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you, Chase.
All right. We'll see you.